Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Here we are once again for another live here on YouTube. How are you guys doing? How's it going? How's it going? Let me know how you're doing. What's up? What up? You know? Hello, hello. Let me know how you're doing. I'm here, enjoying the cold day in my city. It's pretty cold today. And having some water. Yeah. Watering the pipes, as I always like to say. It's a funny expression, isn't it? I mean, watering the pipes. I don't know why they call it that, but they refer to your vocal cords as your pipes, you know? Watering the pipes. Yeah. Hope you guys had a nice week. Had a good week so far. Yeah. A good working week, a good study week. Yeah. Hopefully not that busy. Yeah. Hopefully not that busy of a week. For me, it was pretty. Actually, the weeks have been pretty busy. I mean, with everything I have to do, lots of, you know, uh, videos to post and lessons to do and classes to teach. But it's fun, it's good. And here we are now, yeah, Friday, yeah, getting ready for the weekend. Yeah. Some people are already joining here. Let me shout out some people here. Alessandro, hey Thiago, how are you doing? I'm doing very well. Hope you're doing well too, Alessandro. Very nice. Good to have you here. Alberto, thanks, Thiago. Uh, you're welcome. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly why, but thank you, Alberto. Thanks for joining. Yeah, for joining the session today. We're gonna have a session today all about vocabulary. Alan. Hello, Mr. Thiago. Hello, Alan. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to the live. Great to have you here. And Clayton, let me pull up here the comment. Clayton, I've been doing well. What about you, teacher Thiago? I've been doing very well too. Yeah, very well. A bit cold, to be honest, but well, I know it doesn't look like it, yeah, because I'm wearing a t-shirt, but it's been cold here where I live recently, the past days. Here we are. What? Hang water in the garden, not only in the pipes. Okay. Alessandro is funny, man. Lots of water in the road, not only in the pipes. All right. Got it. Got it. Um, is it Piot? Piot? I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Hi, Thiago. Today you are earlier. Thank you for your presence. Yeah, yeah. I started doing lives earlier last week, you know, last week. So this is the second live I'm doing slightly earlier. I am in Brazil, yeah. So for me now it's 4 p.m. BRT, yeah. And yes, I am earlier. Ah, you are in Poland. Okay. In Poland is already 9 p.m. Well, I imagine that this time is better for you then. Yeah, because it's not so late. So if you are joining the lives last month, it means that you are joining like at 2 a.m. or something. Yeah, so that's really, really late. But yeah, thanks for being here again. Yazid Garzon, hi Tiaguinho. Thank you for your time. Thanks for coming. Yeah, thanks. And yeah, all right. Very nice, guys. Well, today I have a lesson here prepared for you, and I want to talk to you a little bit about word formation, and how mastering word formation can help you boost your vocabulary in English, especially If you aim to be a more advanced user of English, B2, C1, C2 levels, this is one of the topics that you're going to have to take a look at, you're going to have to master, and it is one of my favorite topics to teach, honestly, you know? So I always have fun talking about this topic. I like the idea of coming up with different forms of for the words, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, let me share with you here my presentation so we can get started. Yeah, hopefully you can see it, and it's called Mastering Word Formation. All right. First of all, when it comes to word formation, you need to know what affixes are. As you can see here in the slide, what are affixes? All right, affixes. I'm going to explain it very simply to you. Affixes are basically prefixes and suffixes. That's all. You know, they are parts of words or elements of words that you put together, you know, to form other words. Yeah. So prefixes are usually placed at the beginning of the word, and suffixes are usually placed at the end of the word. And for that, we need what we call a root word. Okay. The root word is the main word. And then once I have that main word, I'm going to add either a prefix or a suffix or both to, to make another form of word. All right. So, affixes are basically the umbrella term for prefixes and suffixes. All right. Here are some examples, as you can see. Actually, let me show you, yeah, because I see it, you don't. Now you see it. There you go. So, for prefixes, we have, for example, un, re, pre, and dis. You see, these are added at the beginning of the word. For example, I have the root word happy. If I add the prefix un, now I formed another word. I have unhappy. Unhappy is the opposite of happy. For suffixes, remember, we add them at the beginning, actually at the end of the word, excuse me. So, ing could be a suffix, shun, able, and ly. For example, create. Create is the root word, is the main word. But then if I add the suffix shun, I'm forming creation. You see? So I am changing the word class. I start with a verb, create, and then I change it to a noun, creation. Create, creation. And like I just said, the root words are the core words, like play, help, and beauty. For example, the word help is a root word, it's a verb. If I add the suffix ful, now I form the adjective, helpful. And if I add another suffix, ness, now I have the noun, helpfulness. All right? So help becomes helpful, which becomes helpfulness. All right? So when we talk about word formation, that's basically what we talk about. We are talking about using prefixes and suffixes to form words from existing words. All right? So why should you learn this? As an English learner, why should you learn affixes? Here are 4 reasons. First of all, it expands your vocabulary rapidly. Rapidly. Because, learning one root word with common affixes can give you at least 5 to 10 new words instantly. For example, let's pick the word employ. The word employ. All right? I think I can write that here in the comment. Yeah? Just so I can show it to you guys. You see, there you go. So, look at the word employ. Employ is a verb. If I have a business, if I have a company, I employ people. You see? I employ people. That's the action of giving someone a job. But from that root word, I can form other verbs or other words, with affixes. So employ, what can I form here? If you guys want to share, you can write in the comment section here. Yeah. For example, Piot, right, is sharing here employee, employer. You see, so from employ, I can form employee. The employee is the person who works for the employer, right? And the employer is the boss, let's say, the business owner who provides the job. So the employer, the employee, and Alessandro shared unemployment. Yes. So unemployment, that's the opposite of employment. You see? And these are both nouns. All right. So employment. Ah, Letitia shared employment. Very nice. Yeah. That's the opposite of unemployed. All right. So you see, we have employ, employee, employer, employment, unemployment. We have one also that is really cool, guys. It's not that obvious, but let me share with you guys here. Look at that. Take a look. Employability. Do you see that? Employability. Let me just double check something here very quickly. This is an interesting word, isn't it? Employability. So a person's employability is basically a person's ability to get jobs. I mean, if you have a high level of employability, it means that you are desirable for the market. You have skills that the market desires, the market needs. So if you have high employability, it's not that hard for you to get a job. You see? So if you have high employability, we could say that you are employable. You see? You are an employable professional. Yeah, because you have high employability. And that's also a noun. You see, so that's the idea of word formation. It's about starting with a root word. We started with employ, and then we start, forming different words from that root word. You see how powerful this can be to improve your vocabulary. All right. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let me see if there are any other comments here before I continue with the presentation, with the lesson. Oh, Ivan. Hello, Ivan. Ivan. Yes. Hi, Thiago. Good to know that you are doing lives early on Fridays. Yes, I've been doing them at around 4 p.m. Brazil time, Ivan. So whenever you can join and stay, yeah, you're more than welcome. Good to see you here, man. Hope you are doing well. All right. Alessandra is asking, is there a meaningful difference between the prefixes un and in? They tend to be confusing. Actually, in terms of meaning, they are the same. Both un and in are used for negative adjectives, right? For example, I can say that something is inefficient. You see, so inefficient is the opposite of efficient. And I can say that something is, let me think of an example with un here. I think the one that you just shared, unemployable. Yeah, a person who is unemployable, or even unemployed, the person doesn't have a job. So both mean negative adjective, but it's not about the meaning, it's about just memorizing which words will take which prefix. You gotta memorize that it's unemployed, not inemployed. And you gotta memorize that it's ineffective, not ineffective. All right. As a matter of fact, let me double check that. But sometimes you might be surprised and you might have both variations. But ineffective is totally right. Yeah. Let me just double check if by any chance we have ineffective. I don't think so. yeah, you know, it's not really used, you see? So you got to memorize that. Ineffective, unemployed. All right? But in terms of meaning, no, it's pretty much the same thing. It's me, employable. Yeah, an employable person, like I just said, has good skills to the market, for the market. Yeah. All right, all right. Oh, Alicia. Hi, Thiago. Hi, Alicia. Good to have you here. Nice of you to join. We have here another viewer, Walid. Hello, Thiago. I'm new in your channel and I hope to improve my English. I'm actually a A2 level. Welcome. Welcome. And, take our time. Yeah, take our time. Watch the videos, participate in the lives whenever you can. I usually tend to teach like things during the lives, like, like actual classes. So, yeah, and be patient. Yeah, be patient because it takes a little while to, you know, uh, improve levels. All right. Let me see here if I have another comment. Oleg. Greetings from Poland, from a Ukrainian. I've been watching your channel since the very beginning and liked your videos from another channel where you worked. I'm glad I joined the live stream. Yes, Oleg, thank you for joining. Yeah. And thanks for following my work for such a long time. Yeah. And it means a lot. All right. Okay, okay. Alan, does it happen every Friday? You mean the live, right? That's my first time here. Greetings from Salvador, Bahia. Greetings. Yes, I've been doing the lives every Friday, Alan. Last month I was doing them at 10 p.m. Brasilia time. And these past 2 weeks, I'm doing them at 4 p.m. All right. But it's usually on a Friday. All right. Try to join whenever you can. All right. Victoria. Hello, Victoria. Hello, Thiago. Happy to see you. I'm in the bus to Querétaro to visit my daughter. Oh, nice. I hope you have a nice trip and enjoy your time with your daughter, Victoria. Thanks for being here. Very nice, guys. So let's continue here with the lesson. So the first reason why you should pay attention to affixes in word formation is because of that. Because with just one root word, you can form 5 to 10 new words instantly. So it's a great way for you to improve vocabulary without necessarily learning new words from scratch. All right? You are basically picking the words you already know and forming new variations with them. Now, the second reason why that's important is because knowing this helps you decode unknown words or better understand unknown words. For example, let's pick the word uncomfortable, as you can see here. We've already discussed that the prefix un means not, right? It's the opposite of something. And then we have the word comfort. We know the word comfort, that's our root. And then we have able, the suffix able. You see, able is like it has the ability to do something, right? So uncomfortable, we can understand that it's not able to be comfortable. Doesn't have the ability to be comfortable. You see, in other words, it's not comfortable. Got it. So it helps you with that as well. Simply by looking at the word, if you see un at the beginning or in, you know it's a negative word. You see? And if you see able at the end, you know it's an adjective. I'm going to get into that a little bit later in the lesson today, but there are specific suffixes for adjectives, for nouns, for verbs. So once you memorize those, you look at a word, you know instantly if it's a noun, if it's an adjective, if it's a verb. So that also helps you better use the word in your texts, when you write something, in your emails, and also when you speak. All right? The third reason why this topic is important, especially for people who want to get to B2 level, and C1 and so on, is that it helps you improve your reading comprehension. Understanding word structure like this helps you read more fluently and confidently. You spend less time guessing meanings and more time understanding complex texts and academic materials. Finally, reason 4, it enhances your writing precision. For example, instead of writing or saying very sad, you could use the word sorrowful. You see, sorrowful, which means very sad. Yeah, it comes from the word sorrow, which is a noun. Sorrowful is an adjective, which means very sad. Also, when it comes to writing, let me just go back here very quickly. Especially if you plan to take a proficiency exam in the future, maybe you want to take the Cambridge B2 first exam, or IELTS, or even TOEFL. When you take those tests to test your English and get a certificate, you have to do writing. You have to write something. They usually ask you to write an essay, an article, a report, and they give you a specific word count or word limit. For example, for Cambridge B2 first, they usually give you a word limit between 140 and 190 words for you to write your composition. So if you have a specific number of words to use, knowing this is very helpful. Because, for example, think of the word replay. Replay means to play again, right? You replay the movie, you play again. But you see, instead of saying or writing play again, which is 2 words, you can just use a prefix and write replay, which is the same meaning, but now you're using 1 word only. Another example, you can say, for example, let me see, redo. Redo is to do again. You have to do something again, you have to redo it. So instead of writing do again, you can write redo. So it helps you economize words, especially in tests like this. So keep that in mind. It allows you to communicate more ideas with fewer words. All right? Let me see if I have some comments here so far. Peu or Peu. Hello, thanks for your English. Thank you for the English lesson. My pleasure, yeah. Hope you are enjoying and learning something today. That's the purpose. Josie Mota. Hello, teacher. My first time here. Hello, Josie. Welcome to the live, yeah? And stick around, yeah? Nice to have you here. This is a little bit unrelated to the topic, but kind of unrelated, but it is related to vocabulary, so I can answer now. Manuel. Hello, teacher. You've ever used Anki in order to improving your English? Recommend use it or not? Look, Manuel, I've never used Anki myself. Never, ever, ever. Not because it's a bad app. It's because I'm a little older. Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up and when I was learning English, I didn't have that. We didn't have apps like Anki and stuff like that. So I didn't actually experience using that, But I know it's a very useful app. Many people say good things about it. And the great thing about it is that it works with spaced repetition, right? So spaced repetition is about being exposed to the word or reviewing the word you are trying to memorize at specific intervals of time. So there's actually scientific data to back this up, that, it is an effective system to memorize words. So, Anki uses it and many other apps use it. So, if I recommend using it or not, yeah, I recommend using it and giving it a try and see if it works for you. That's my top recommendation. Use it and see if it works for you. See if you find it helpful. All right. If you don't find it useful, that's fine. Stop using it. I can't tell you that yes, use it because it might not work for you. All right, or you might not enjoy the experience. You know, but overall, yes, I hear many good things about it, and you know, give it a try for a few months. All right. Lucia Zampacci. Your episodes are so understandable. Greetings from Italy. Thank you, Lucia. Greetings from Brazil, yeah, to Italy. Nice. Very good. Yeah. Nice to have another person from Italy. There's Alessandro here in the live chat. He's also from Italy. So, it's nice to have some Italians in the house. Thanks for being here. Piot, Thiago, will you be creating another project like the Speaking Accelerator 3.0? If so, could you review the next theme? I haven't thought about it yet because, I'm still running the second group, right? This month, we are talking about art and entertainment. But yeah, I mean, I might open new groups in the future about different topics, but I haven't decided that yet, about the next topic. But when I decide, I'm going to announce it if I decide to open it again. All right. Renata, you were here last week, right, for the live. Yeah, nice to see you again. Nice to have you again here. Hi, Thiago. My English level isn't intermediate yet, but I'm learning a lot from your videos. It's worth supporting your channel. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for being here and for the support. All right, so let's go back to the lesson here, guys, about word formation. So I just presented to you the main reasons why you should pay attention to this topic. All right. Now let's keep going. And what I want to do now is I want to give you some examples of suffixes specifically for different word classes. All right. Let's start with nouns. Noun suffixes. First of all, what is a noun? What is a noun? Yeah. Look, a noun gives a name to something. That's it. I mean, look around you right now and start naming the objects where you are. All those words are nouns. So here, cell phone, that's a noun. Water is a noun. Microphone is a noun. Guitar, poster, amp, chair. I mean, the name we give things are nouns. All right. Now, there is a more advanced use of nouns, okay, which is to communicate abstract ideas. Certain nouns, and that's the type of nouns we're going to be talking about now, they help you communicate more abstract ideas. For example, the word happiness. Happiness is a noun. Happiness is the noun for happy. Happy is an adjective. I am happy. That's an adjective. Happiness is the noun, and it communicates the abstract concept of happiness, the abstract ideas. All right. Nouns like that are very common as you progress in your English level. As you progress to B2, C1, C2, you're going to encounter more and more of these types of nouns. Nouns that communicate abstract ideas. All right. So let's continue here. Here are some examples, some common examples of suffixes we use for nouns, people and actions. We have and or. Yeah, in that case, we use it to talk about the person who does something. Very useful for professions. For example, teach becomes teacher, act, actor, write, writer, visit, visitor. You see? So on the first column, I have the verbs, teach, act, write, visit. And then on the second column, I have the people who perform those actions, the professionals who do it. All right? We have ist. That's a person who practices or believes in something. For example, art becomes artist. You see? Science becomes scientist. Piano becomes pianist. Therapy becomes therapist. All right. What's interesting about this second card here is that the words in the first column are also nouns. Okay. Art, science, piano, and therapy, these are all nouns. And then I have other types of nouns to refer to the people: artist, scientist, pianist, therapist. You see? But then we have shun and jeune as well. Look, create, creation, decide, decision, educate, education, express, expression. You see? So again, I'm changing the verb into a noun. The verb create becomes the noun creation. The verb educate becomes the noun education. All right? We have a couple more examples here of noun suffixes. For example, we have the suffix ness as well. So if you see a word that ends with ness, you know it's a noun. All right? You see, happy, happiness, dark, darkness, kind, kindness. And that goes back to the abstract idea that I was talking about. If you talk about people who are happy, you are talking about people who have this feeling. If you talk about happiness, you are talking about the abstract concept of happiness or the abstract concept of kindness. All right? Kind is the person. Kindness is the abstract idea. We also have the suffixes ity or t. All right? In American English, we would probably flap this t like itty or itty. So, real becomes reality. Safe becomes safety. Popular becomes popularity. So now I am changing adjectives, turning them into nouns. Real, safe, and popular are adjectives, and I turn them into nouns. Reality, safety, popularity. All right? And depending on which word class you choose to use, the way you use it in sentences also changes, right? Because you can talk about how safe a city is. You can say that the city is quite safe, or you can talk about the safety of the city. You see the difference? You can talk about people who are popular, or you can talk about what popularity means to people. You see, the way you use the words and even the focus changes. All right? Usually when we use adjectives, we tend to focus more on people, things, right? But when we use nouns, we are focusing on ideas, concepts. All right? We have the suffix ment as well, which is another common suffix to form a noun. So, develop becomes development. By the way, come on, guys, development, okay? Don't say development. It's not development, it's development, okay? Make sure you place the stress correctly here. So, develop, development. Improve, improvement. Manage, management. All right? Again, we are turning verbs into nouns. All right? Very nice. Moving on. These were a few examples about nouns. It's not all of them, okay? There are more suffixes that form nouns, but I just presented some examples to you. Now, let me give you some examples of adjective suffixes, some common suffixes to form adjectives. First of all, let me go back here. What is an adjective? An adjective gives a quality, a characteristic to a person, to an object, or to a place. All right? So I can say beautiful girl. You see? Beautiful girl. Beautiful is a quality that I'm giving to the girl, the noun. Okay? black cell phone. You see, black is an adjective. It's a characteristic that I'm giving to the noun, the cell phone. All right? Large park. You see? Large park. So park is the noun, the place. Large is the adjective, is the characteristic that I'm giving to the place. So remember that, okay? Adjectives give a quality, a trait, a characteristic to a noun. All right? Having said that, let's look at some suffixes here to form adjectives, okay? Here are some common examples. We have able and able, all right? The idea here is capable of being or having the quality. For example, read becomes readable. Believe becomes believable. Possible becomes impossible. So, read is a verb. It's the act of reading, the action. If a text is readable, it can be read. You see? It has the condition to be read. It's readable. All right? Believe. Believe is a verb. I believe, right? Now, if an idea is believable, it can be believed. You see? So an idea is believable. A person is believable. You see? Possible, the adjective, becomes impossible. That's the opposite meaning of the adjective, right? Impossible, it's not possible. It can be done. We have also the suffixes full and less for adjectives. You see, full means full of something. It's kind of obvious, isn't it? It's there, full of something. And less is like without something or lacking something. So look, hope. Hopeful means full of hope, right? Hopeless means lack of hope, no hope. You see? Care, we have careful, full of care. Careless, lack of care, no care. You see? Peace, peaceful. And sometimes this happens. We don't have a direct opposite for peaceful. Yeah, we don't have peaceless. That's okay. Yeah, sometimes some words might not have all the classes, you know. And then in that case, I would have to say not peaceful. All right. But you see, if you hope for something, that's the action. If you are hopeful, that's a trait. It's how you're feeling. I am hopeful. Now, if you are hopeless, you have no hope. You see, you are hopeless. Just like careful, you can be a careful driver, respecting all the rules and the speed limits, or you can be a careless driver who doesn't respect the rules, who puts other people at risk while you're driving, you drive too fast. You see? So careful versus careless. Hopefully, that's gonna start, turning on some light bulbs in our head. Like, oh yeah, I mean, you must be thinking like, oh yeah, that's so obvious, but I've never really stopped to think about it like that. Of course, hopeful, full of hope. Hopeless, no hope. Look at that. We also have us and is. These are common suffixes for adjectives as well. For example, fame becomes famous. Danger becomes dangerous. And mystery becomes mysterious. All right? So again, fame, danger, and mystery, these are nouns. And I'm changing them to adjectives. Famous, dangerous, mysterious. By the way, learning suffixes like this individually also helps you with pronunciation, because if you learn the correct way to pronounce a suffix, you're going to pronounce the word correctly. For example, this suffix right here, the OUS, the pronunciation of this suffix is us. Okay? Us. It's not O's. It's not O's. Okay? It's us. Us. So every word that ends with the suffix is going to end with this us sound. That's why I say famous and not famous. That's why I say dangerous and not dangerous. That's why I say mysterious and not mysterious. You got it? So, by learning the right pronunciation of the suffixes, you can learn how to pronounce the words better that take those suffixes. Fascinating, isn't it? You know, guys, learning English is fascinating. You know, it's so much fun. I love it. Yeah. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? It's like, whoa, of course. That makes so much sense, right? Look, here are some more examples of adjective transformations. You can add only the letter Y to form an adjective. So, for example, rain becomes rainy, salt, salty, luck, lucky, wind, windy. Again, wind is the noun. If the weather is windy, you see, that's a characteristic. Oh, the weather is windy today. You see, the day is windy today. All right? Or rainy. Rain is the noun. It rains a lot here. Or a rainy day. You see? It's a rainy day today. We have ick and ickle. For example, economy becoming economic, history becoming historical, magic becoming magical. So economy, economic, history, historical, magic, magical. We have iv, another common adjective suffix. Create, creative, act, active, attract, attractive. All right? So, if you find a person attractive, is because that person or something about that person attracts you. You see? If you don't find the person attractive, that means you find the person unattractive. You see? And then you start playing with all the different forms of the words here. Yeah? We also have the suffix "ol." All right? Like nation becoming national, person, personal, culture, cultural. All right? So these are some examples of suffixes to form adjectives specifically. All right? Now let's move on to the next category here, which is verbs. Let me just see if I have any comments here to answer in the meantime. Risca, what? Risca fósforo. Okay. Do you speak Portuguese too? Yes, I do. Portuguese is my native language. All right. It's my first language. Okay, very nice, guys. So let's continue here. So verb suffixes. Look, eyes or eyes. By the way, eyes with a Z is more common in American English, the way you write the word. If you write with a Z, that's American English. If you write with an S, that's British English. So for example, modern becomes modernize, real, realize, special, specialize, memory, memorize. So remember, if you write with a Z, American spelling. If you write with an S, British spelling. So modern is an adjective. This place is modern. Modernize becomes the verb. It's the action. We need to modernize this place. Just like specialize and memorize. For verbs, we also have if I. As you can see here, if I. So simple, simplify. Clear, clarify. Beauty, beautify. Pure, purify. All right? So, to make something simple is to simplify it. Yeah? To make a point clear is to clarify it. You see? Now, this is a good one, isn't it? Beautify. I mean, I am sure you know the word beautiful, right? Everybody here knows the word beautiful and maybe even beauty, right? But did you know that we also have beautify? You see? You beautify something. You beautify the place, for example, you make it beautiful. And then you go like, oh yeah, interesting. I know the word beautiful. I know beauty, but I've never heard beautify before. It is possible. Oh, look at that. You see? So sometimes you end up forming words that exist in English and that are not that obvious. And then you go like, oh, interesting. That's cool. We also have this suffix which is quite common for verbs, en, en, okay? So we have the adjective weak. If I add en, now I turn it to a verb, weaken. Bright becomes brighten. Wide, widen. Sharp, sharpen. You see? So if you sharpen something, you make it sharp. Yeah? If something weakens you, it makes you weaker or it makes you feel weak. All right? let me test you guys a little bit here. I'm going to write something in the comments, all right? A little challenge, all right? An easy challenge, okay? Don't worry. Look. Strong, the word strong, okay? The word strong is an adjective, right? Remember, an adjective gives a quality to something or someone, a strong person. What is the noun for strong? What is the noun form for strong? You can write here in the comments. Yeah? What is the noun for the adjective strong? Watering the pipes. Good. Feels so good to water the pipes, guys. Very nice. Alan and Alessandro, yeah? Very good. Oh, Carlos, good to see you here, man. Yes, that's correct. You guys are correct. You see, strength. Strength is the noun for strong. Notice that sometimes this happens. Yeah, sometimes the spelling changes like crazy change. Yeah, strong becoming strength. Now, what is the verb for strength? What is the action or the act? What is the verb for strength or strong? Yeah. Write down here in the comments. Let me see. Strong, strength. Alessandro just wrote here, strengthen. You see, I just told you that by adding the en suffix, you turn the word into a verb. You see? So strong person, strength is the noun, strengthen is the act of making something or someone stronger. You see? Really cool, right? So I go to the gym to strengthen my muscles. Interesting, right? If I strengthen my muscles, I will become strong. If I am strong, that means I have a lot of strength. You see how fascinating this is, guys, because, the way you use each class of word is different. And that forces you to also use different grammar. Yeah? Because the way you use strength, strengthen, and strong require different structures. Yeah? Really cool, isn't it? So let's move on here. We were talking about verbs, right? Now, let's talk about adverbs quickly. Okay? Let me go back here again. Do you remember that an adjective gives a noun a quality, a characteristic, or a trait. So, an adverb gives a quality, a characteristic to the verb. Whoa, look at that, right? So, adjectives give a quality to the nouns. Adverbs give a quality to the verbs, to how the verbs are performed. So remember that, okay? You see, it's not that hard, guys. It's not that hard, all right? And then you go like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Look, most adverbs of manner, all right, we're gonna use the suffix "li." And remember this as well, yeah? Usually, most of the time, adverbs of manner come from the adjective. So you start with the adjective, and then by adding "li," you turn them into an adverb of manner. All right? So, for example, quick, that's the adjective. A quick person, you see? By adding "li," now I have the adverb, quickly. Now, quickly is about the verb. So, for example, I can say, he is a quick runner. He is a quick runner. You see? Quick is given a quality to him, the runner, the noun. Or I can say that he runs quickly. You see? Now, quickly is given a quality to the verb, run. How does he run? He runs quickly. So, the adverbs like this, they answer the question how. How something is done, how something is performed or executed. Okay? So, careful becomes carefully. Beautiful, beautifully. Immediate, immediately. We also have some special cases there. The spelling changes a little bit. Look, easy, easily. Happy, happily. Terrible, terribly. And whole, wholly. All right? So, going back to careful, yeah? I can say he is a careful driver. Or he drives carefully. You see? In the first example, I'm talking about him, the person. He is a careful driver. In the second example, I'm talking about the action and how the action is performed. He drives carefully. You see? It's the way he drives. That's how he drives. We call these adverbs of manner. All right? Now, keep in mind, there's a little note here at the bottom of the slide, right? Here's a pro tip. Not all words ending in "li" are adverbs, okay? For example, friendly, lovely, and deadly are actually adjectives. A lovely movie, a friendly person, a deadly flower, okay? But these are, more exceptions, I would say, but keep that in mind, okay? Not every word in "li" are actually adverbs. Sometimes you might have adjectives like this that end in "li." So just be careful with that, all right? So to conclude, here are the next steps for you to master this topic of word formation. First of all, practice daily. Identify affixes in your reading materials. Start with news articles, then move to academic texts. Notice how authors use word formation to create precise meanings. Then, build your collection. Keep a vocabulary journal organized by affixes. Group words by their suffixes and prefixes to see patterns and make connections between related words. Then use them actively. Don't just recognize affixes, use them. Practice creating new words in conversation and writing. Experiment with different word forms to express your ideas more precisely. Remember, understanding word formation is like having a key to unlock thousands of new words. Each affix you master multiplies your vocabulary and enhances your ability to communicate with precision and style. Start with the most common suffixes and gradually build your knowledge. Your English fluency will grow exponentially. And especially to those of you who are planning to take any Cambridge test in the future, if you plan to take Cambridge B2 first, Cambridge C1 or C2 proficiency, there is one part of the test that tests specifically this. It's part 3 of the reading and use of English paper. You gotta know this, otherwise, you're not gonna do well on that part of the test. And that's one of the reasons why I love the Cambridge exams, guys, because they not only test reading, listening, speaking, and writing, but they also have a whole section only to test your grammar knowledge and skills and vocabulary like this. I love it. Yeah. So very nice. Let me see if I have here some comments to check. Now, if you have any questions to ask me, feel free to ask me any questions now. I have a few minutes now for a little Q&A if you guys want to ask me anything. So let me see here if you have a comment or a question. Reginaldo, mind-blowing. Yeah, glad you enjoyed it, man. Yeah, it's a really cool topic. I really love talking about this and teaching this. It's really cool. Risca fósforo. I understand you perfectly, but I still struggle to speak the same way. Why? Probably because you haven't been practicing or speaking as much as you're listening. It's that simple. Yeah. I always say this, right? The skill that you spend the most time on develops more and quicker, So maybe you have been listening to more English than speaking it. So find opportunities to speak more, yeah, with people. Yeah, maybe joining a club of some sort, a speaking club. But yeah, you got to speak more. Yeah, it's just a matter of skill and practice. All right? Let me know if you have any questions, guys, any comments. In these last minutes, do you guys have any nice plans for the weekend? Yeah, going somewhere, That's a good question, Alicia. Let me see here. What is the difference between historic and historical? They are pretty similar, I would say. Let me just double check here. I can tell you right now. Just a second. But that's a good question for everybody to know the difference, right? If there is any difference, right? Yeah, they are not exactly the same. Look, historic describes something that is important or famous in history. All right? For example, a historic day, a historic agreement, a historic victory. You see? So, historic describes things that are important or famous in history. Historical describes something that relates to history or the past. Oops. Sorry, guys. My phone just started ringing here. So where was I? Oh yeah. So historical describes something that relates to history or the past. So things that are part of history or the study of history, regardless of their importance. For example, historical data, a historical novel, that's a story that happens in the past, a historical document, and historical society. You see? So the main difference is that historical is anything that is related to history that is in the past. Historic is a past event in history, but that is important, that is memorable, like a historic day, a historic agreement or victory. You see? So not quite the same meaning there. But that's a very good question. Yeah. Excellent question. You know? Piot, Thiago, have you ever been in Poland? No, I have never been to Poland. Okay. By the way, is this question correct grammatically? I think it's fine for you to say, have you ever been in Poland? But I think it's better for you to say to Poland. Have you ever been to? Have you ever been to Poland? Yeah. Better to use to than in, I would say. No, I've never been there. Maybe someday, yeah. I might visit. Who knows? Yeah. Uh, 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 um. Reginaldo, let me see here. Are there any tips for identifying false adverbs ending in "ly" like the ones you mentioned? Man, I think the best way is just to memorize those. Um, Maybe you can think about this question. Look at the word with "ly," you know, and think to yourself, okay, do I use this word to talk about a person or to talk about an action? That could help. Like, for example, if you look at the word lovely, can I use it to talk about a person? Lovely friend, lovely person, lovely boy, lovely girl. Yeah, I can. So it's an adjective. All right. Now, carefully, the word carefully, right? Think to yourself, can I use it to talk about a person? A carefully person? No, that's weird, right? A carefully friend? A carefully girl? No. So it's probably an adverb. I can use it to talk about an action. Yeah. You drive carefully. You eat carefully. You see? So I guess the tip is there, Reginaldo. Ask yourself, can I use this word to talk about a person? If yes, it's an adjective. If not, it's probably an adverb. All right. But at the end of the day, you need to memorize it. Yeah, you need to memorize it. You can look it up in the dictionary as well. Yeah, the dictionary is going to give you the class of the word there. If you write friendly, it's going to say that it's an adjective. If you write, like I said, carefully, it's going to tell you that it's an adverb. All right. And nowadays, also with AI, right, you can just ask ChatGPT, for example, is the word friendly an adverb or an adjective? And it's going to tell you. But I think the tip is that, if you can use it to talk about a person, then it's an adjective. All right. Let me see here if there are any other questions. That's a very good question by Victor. Yeah, Victor Machado. Let me see here. How many times of speaking practice in a week do you recommend someone at B1 to B2 level to do? I consider myself a B1 level and I only do speak practice once a week, but I felt that I'm lacking this. Yeah, Victor, I think that is too little, man. I think speaking only once a week is too little, you know? Try to supplement that. Maybe it's a class or maybe it's a club that you join. I don't know. Try to supplement that with other opportunities. And look, I mean, you can even practice speaking alone. Yeah. Speaking by yourself at home, recording yourself. But it's more about the act of speaking, like, moving your mouth, producing the sounds, getting the pronunciation right. If you don't have anybody else to practice speaking with outside of that one time per week, do it by yourself. But just to practice vocalizing the words, like the physicality of it. But I think it's too little, just once a week. Yeah, I think ideally you want to get at least maybe 4 hours of speaking practice per week minimum. Ideally, I would say that, like, remember, the more hours you spend, the better it is, right? The more hours you spend. So try to expand that in any way. All right. Maybe joining a course, maybe a proper course that happens more frequently, like twice a week, 3 times a week. Or I don't know how long this once a week is. Maybe it is a long session, maybe, yeah? Maybe it's a 3-hour session. That's fine. Yeah. But once a week, like for 1 hour, for example, I think you should, look for other ways to practice speaking as well. Okay. Look, it's not that you're not going to see results. You are going to see results like this. It's just that it might take a little longer. That's all. You know, it's just like going to the gym. Yeah. If you go to the gym twice a week, you're going to get results, but it's not going to be as fast as someone who goes 5 times a week. It's kind of the same idea. And, speak alone. Yeah. If it's not possible to maybe, have classes or join another group for speaking practice, speak alone. Yeah. But you can do a little bit of speaking alone every day. Reading aloud. Reading aloud is very good to practice by yourself. Pick a text and just read out loud that text. You can record yourself doing this and then you can listen back. Yeah. But yeah, practice the physical act of speaking, I would say. Let's see what Alessandro wrote here. I think this lesson has been so creatively creative that it sparked creativity, encouraging me to recreate, overcreate, and activate my creativeness. Very nice. That's the idea. And then you can start playing with the words just to be funny, but you are practicing at the same time. Yeah, using all these forms. All right. Piot. Care, carefully, careful, careless. What else? I guess it's all related. You mean what else? Like, if there are other forms, care, okay, carefully, careful, careless. Look, you can form carelessly as well, the adverb. You see, so if you are careful, it means that you do things carefully. If you are careless, it means that you do things carelessly. You see? You can also use the ing here and say caring. Yeah, and then that becomes an adjective. A caring person is a person who cares for other people, who is nice to other people. Oh, my mom is so caring. My grandma is so caring. You see, like they care for others. All right. But yeah, there you go. Let me see this question here. Ahmad Kadi. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Hi, Thiago. I feel so shy when I try to speak English because maybe my wife and my teenage boys laugh at my speaking and my accent. Huh. Look, you are saying maybe. I mean, do they do this or you think they're going to do this? Is that it? Like, because if you fear that they're going to do that, I think it's okay. I mean, it's your family, right? I mean, they're not going to do that. I imagine that they're not going to do that. Like, laugh at your speaking and your accent. And look, I mean, the only way for you to get better at speaking is by speaking it. It's okay to feel shy or feel insecure to do it, but you need to do it. You need to do it. Yeah. You need to embrace that fear. Yeah. If it scares you, I mean, embrace that. But it's the only way. Yeah. And don't worry about, what people will think about your speaking or accent. If they laugh for some reason, you can say, look, I'm practicing, guys. Practice with me, or let me practice in peace, but no, I mean, own that, own the practice, So don't let that be a barrier, yeah? Because otherwise you will never improve your speaking effectively, okay? You got to get out there, face that fear and that maybe insecurity that you might feel and just go for it, you know? Vinicius, what do you think of using Omegle websites to improve speaking? I feel that to speak in English to a non-native, it's easier than Americans and British. Vinicius, I don't know this website. I think I've heard about it in the past, but honestly, I don't know exactly how it works or Okay. It says here, talk to strangers with free video chat. Is that it? It's a website for you to talk to strangers. I think so. Yeah. Look, I don't know about the website, so I can't tell you if it's good to improve speaking, but about feeling that speaking English to non-natives is easier than Americans and British. That is a common thing that happens, and I think for obvious reasons, right? Native speakers usually connect the words much more. They speak faster. They know when they use more colloquial language or idioms or expressions. So because of that, it's inherently more challenging to understand them, But that doesn't mean that practicing with non-native speakers is a bad idea. It's a great idea, for you to practice with other learners as well. I think there are advantages and advantages to both here, So if you can practice with native speakers, great, but also practice with other learners and non-native speakers as well, because then you're going to be exposed to different accents. Yeah. And most English speakers in the world are actually non-natives, you know? So it's important for you to expose yourself to different accents as well. All right. So that's what I would say. But about the website Omegle, I don't know much about it. Yeah. So sorry, I can't say much about it. Let's see here. Victoria, invite him to our private community. Oh, yes. Thank you, Victoria. I forgot about that. Yeah, to those of you guys who are looking for maybe opportunities to speak more, you should consider joining my private community. Yeah. In my private community, we have conversation sessions there between the members every week. Could be a good opportunity for you to talk to other non-native speakers of English and practice talking about interesting topics. All right. Thanks for the reminder, Victoria. Piot. Yeah, you are responding to Ahmadji, right? The most important thing is to speak, even talking to yourself. And this is simple. Yeah, it's true. I mean, you gotta talk. Yeah, just like driving. I mean, if you want to drive better, you gotta drive. You gotta get in the car and get into the traffic, right? In the city. Yeah. Otherwise, you will never learn to drive. Yeah. Josie, let me see here. Subscribe to a plan I saw on the channel, but I would like to know what this subscription is for. What kind of access will I have? Where do I get this access? Could you please explain it to me? Look, Josie, if you are referring to the channel subscription, there isn't much in terms of access there. There are a few videos on the channel that are exclusive for members that I made, but the main purpose of that actually is just for people who want to support my work, because I think it's very cheap as well. Yeah. I think for you to become a member of my channel here on YouTube, I think it's like R$ 7, I think. Seven is like $2, $1. It's a symbolic amount, and I leave it open just for people who maybe want to, support my channel, that way, because I already produce and post so much free content every week here. Yeah. So some people might just go like, oh, I mean, I'm going to become a member. Yeah. Just to support the channel. That's it, But look, Josie, if you are looking for like exclusive content and exclusive things, then I recommend you learn about my private community. Yeah. The link is here in the description of the live, which is what Victoria was talking about. So by joining the private community, then yes, then you can join live sessions every week with me and with other members. There are access to video lessons and things that are not here on YouTube. But of course, that is much more expensive, obviously, right? The investment is higher. But the one here on the channel is just a symbolic way, if you want, to support my work. That's all. Okay? Hope that's clear. Let me see here. Victor, thanks for the answer, teacher. My pleasure. Yeah, and keep practicing, man. Keep going with the going for B2. Yeah, and I don't know which test you want to take, but the Cambridge B2 first is an excellent one. But if you take TOEFL or IELTS, you can also get B2 by doing these tests. Okay. Massimo De Carlo, I really love what you are doing here. I've been studying English for about 2 years in Italy, just watching videos like yours. I think I reached a good B1 level, but my level of speaking is terrible. Thanks for following my work, Massimo. And like I was just telling the other viewers here, yeah, if you feel like your speaking needs more development, make sure you focus on that aspect, yeah. Find opportunities in your local area, online, to speak to people as much as possible. Okay? It takes time to develop that. Vinicius, what about the difference between got and have? I'm always confusing. And that question will be, to what English level? This is a typical, I think it's a typical A2 level question. I mean, usually learners at A2 level, they already learn have and got, because they are pretty similar in meaning, we usually use it for present simple. Like, I say, I have a cell phone. I can say, I have a cell phone. That's a possession. Or I can say, I've got a cell phone. It's the same meaning, So I have or I've got mean the same thing. Yeah, it's simple present. It means I have something. Okay. In everyday conversations, if you watch movies and TV series, many times native speakers, they don't say have, got. They just say got. Yeah. I got a phone. I got a phone. I got a microphone, like that. But it means have. Yeah. So got like that is very basic, a A2, even A1 level, you already learned this. Okay. Now, if we're thinking of got like present perfect, yeah, like, I have got something, then, it's a little bit later. Yeah. Maybe a B1 level, I would say, B1 level, because, then it's present perfect, right? Usually following the curriculum, learners start dealing more with present perfect at B1, usually, yeah, or A2 plus, I would say. All right. But with that meaning of possession, it's pretty basic. All right. Remember, I have a phone, I've got a phone, or I got a phone. Or I have to go, I've got to go. It's the same meaning. Yeah. I have to go. And again, native speakers, they don't even say have many times. So I gotta go, they would say. I got to go becomes I gotta go. All right. Could you do C1 shadowing more? You mean on the channel, right? Yeah, I can bring more, examples of C1 videos for sure. Although I get the feeling that, most of the audience here on the channel, they are more in the B1 to B2 category. But yeah, I mean, for sure, I can bring more C1 shadowing practice. Absolutely. Yeah. It's fun. Yeah, because the words are much more advanced and much more complex. All right. Okay, everybody, great. It was wonderful to hang out with you today. Yeah, on this fine Friday. I hope you enjoyed the lesson today about word formation. I hope you found it useful and you learned something today. Thank you so much for being here, for hanging out. I wish you all a good weekend and a good week next week. And stay tuned here on the channel for more videos that will be published very soon. All right. Thanks so much for your attention. And I'm going to be disconnecting now so that, I can also enjoy my weekend. All right. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.